Yin's high-flying, whip-wielding, backlashing gameplay really comes into light with a well-refined deck. So let's take a look at my build and general mindset when selecting Yin in team compositions. Like any carry, during the early game, I'm primarily focused on maintaining an economic advantage, aka card point lead, over the other team's carry. I've talked about this general philosophy as a carry in some of my previous videos. You can go back and go through those, but I play in the safe lane just like a standard carry, maintaining a relatively close distance to my support at all times, mostly because I want to use Lash Kick as an escape tool if I need to get out of harm's way. Sometimes I also use it as an engagement mechanism, bouncing off of my support on an unsuspecting offlaner. Now my two initial item choices are Madstone Gem and a health potion to start off, and my upgrade order right out of the gate is at level 1, Windburn, level 2, Backlash, level 3 I'm picking Lash Kick, and level 4, Windburn once again. Now I may alternate between Lash Kick and Windburn. I might actually do Windburn at level 3 depending on how much pressure the enemy team is applying to me right out of the gate. Now if I find that they're ganking it right at level 1 or level 2, then I might go Lash Kick for that level 3 choice. But if they're not applying a whole lot of pressure, I might choose Windburn instead, because it's going to allow me to, again, continue to get that range. Talked about this in one of my previous videos. That variable range really throws people off, but it really especially helps in the laning phase in those first few levels. Now past level 4, I focus on maxing out Windburn as quickly as possible. Again, you want to have that range up as often as possible. Once it's maxed, it's almost negligible cooldown. It's about 1 or 2 seconds once you have it all the way maxed. Followed by Backlash, and then I go Quelling Gale, then Lash Kick. And that's generally my approach to upgrading Yin over the course of the game. Now when the card points start rolling in the early game, my first back is at 6 card points, and I pick up Rift Mage's Scepter with a 1-point striker cast. So I max that thing right out of the gates, and this is just a smidge of crit, only at 4% I believe, to start off with the card, and I'm primarily getting this for the 12-point power boost. There's a couple other cards that you can use in this place, but I chose this one specifically for this deck because it's a starting item that a lot of folks have in their decks. Now my second card that I pick up is a 9-point ward. And I have Sage's Ward in here. Sometimes I've gone with Brawlers, but you don't really consume too much mana. You can also choose the Guardian's Ward, which gives you more health on full upgrade. But I picked this up as quickly as possible just to have wards in my deck, because you do not want to get ganked early on when you're any carry. But Yin, you know, she has a little bit of mobility, but I just don't like not having vision on the map. And I'm not keen to upgrading this 9-point ward right off the bat, which is, you know, I personally like to upgrade a couple other things before going back to this ward. But I have done it in a few games, but I don't always do it. So it's just a frame of reference. Instead, right around early mid game, I go right for the Wind Carver Blades, and I max both of them out as quickly as possible. So I slot a little bit of attack speed in each with 1 minor kinetic, and then a little bit of power in each with 2 minor kinetics. So both of them have 2 minor strikes and 1 minor kinetic in them as well. So the Wind Carver has a 12-point power bonus for the max upgrades, so you get that additional power once you get these things maxed. By the full-on mid-game, I'm picking up Spear of the Rift Hunter, which I have all crit maxed out in this, so you're going to see a big crit spike for me by mid-game. And then I select Hunger Maul, which is a crit bonus card, and I slot that with 1 point lesser drains for a little bit of survivability. And then I may end up maxing out this ward sometime in this mid-game time frame, which is about 15. That's a very early mid-game for me, to about 25, 28, 27 minutes. Now by the late game, this is when Yin gets really, really scary. I start getting a little bit more complicated with this build. And this is where you guys really need to kind of pay attention and listen to some of these specific swap outs. Now I'll swap out 3 of my 4 6-point cards. So that's both Windcarver Blades gone out of the deck, and Rift Mage's Scepter also gone out of that deck. Now in their places I put in Blink Shot for additional mobility and power, Brand of the Iron Eater for more crit and survivability, and then Whirling Wand for more power and a bit of attack speed that I dropped off with those Windcarver Blades. So all in all, once this build is all said and done, it's very crit heavy. It's about 50% crit. I have, I believe, 168 power, and then you have the mobility with Blink Shot, and you have some survivability with Hunger Maw, Lesser Drains, and then a Brand of the Iron Eater, which I also slot with a major drain, or greater drain. So there is a little bit of survivability, a smidge of attack speed, quite a bit of power, a substantial amount of crit, and with her kit, you can just go to town on a lot of folks. So the exact build order for this, my first items, again, Madstone Gem Potion. By early game, I'm going Rift Mage's Scepter with 3 Minor Strikes, Sage's Ward with 3 casts or strikes, Windcarver Blade, there's 2 of those with the exact same set of upgrade cards, 2 Minor Strikes and 1 Minor Kinetic. By mid game, Spear of the Rift Hunter, it's a 6-point card with all minor wounds for that crit. Then Hunger Maw is a 9-point card with 3 lesser drains. And then by late game, we're going Blink Shot, Brand of the Iron Eater, and Whirling Wand, which are all 12-point cards with replacements for Windcarver Blades and then the Rift Mage's Scepter. Now, I've had an incredibly fun time with this build. By max build, again, I can crit anywhere from 400 to 500 damage depending on the enemy team's armor. I have some lifesteal for survivability, and I can handle any of the projectile-based carries in a bar fight, okay? Who wants to throw these hands? None of them, okay? Now this build is a little bit more technical than some of the others that I've covered in the past, which because of this stringent build order, but I thought I'd give you guys something a little bit more complicated since, you know, typically I don't go too far into when I'm dropping out cards and stuff like that in these builds. But once you have it down, I'm telling you guys, it's great. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like before heading out into the lanes of Agora. Practice this build. As always, more Paragon is on the way. I have a few Sareth videos I plan to break down with some gameplay, which should be fun. So be sure to tune in for those. And before I forget, you can actually import this deck by clicking on the link down in the description through the official web deck builder. Now I'll catch you guys later, and stay frosty.